in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Every Friday, tune into Texas Ticket on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM with Armando Nino of Gold Lake Conroe, focusing on Montgomery County area events and places. Get a feel of the Texas spirit at the event, paired with guest and vendor interviews, event coverage, and ticket giveaways, and so much more. Join us Fridays and punch your Texas ticket. For more information on the show, visit irlonestar.com/Texas Ticket.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
God's Garage is a 501c3 that repairs and gives away cars for free to single moms, widows, and wives of deployed military. You can help God's Garage by donating a vehicle, volunteering your time, or by monetary donation. God's Garage is located at 2106 East Davis, Conroe. If you'd like to learn more about God's Garage, visit our website at godsgarage.org. Or you can contact us and we would be glad to come and make a presentation to your group.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on the Cindy Cochran Show. And we are like everywhere. If you missed this show, and you don't get to see all of it, if you have to go somewhere, whatever, just come back, and it'll be on YouTube, and it'll be on Lone Star Community Radio. Just search for the Cindy Cochran Show, and it's all over the place, as long as the audience of one hasn't taken my place. I know you're doing that. You see where I'm at?
I like it.
And then Richard comes and puts his...
Yeah, we had a great episode yesterday. You can check it out. Yeah.
No, we had a great episode yesterday.
Yeah, that was fun. I will let the audience, the Cindy Cochran Show audience, know that show is fully up on Lone Star's Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, podcasts. So we had some internet issues yesterday.
Right.
And we got it all up today.
Yeah, I told them as they're leaving, just go in and get in your car, turn it on, and you'll be able to hear the right now. And they went, like, right now? Yeah. So, and then I had to call them and said, sorry, it's not, the fault does not lie with it lies with your internet. Yeah. It's not Richard's fault. He does the best he can.
Yeah.
But Richard has a show called Audience of One on Wednesdays, and they record their show. So it's going to be perfect every time. But
it's a lot easier to manage programs when they're recorded.
You'd rather me be recorded?
No. I think your show's great for live. It just depends on the program.
And the host.
Yeah.
If the host can carry a live show.
Well, you don't even, you never even talk about the comments people make.
Well, you're supposed to tell me, feed me.
Well, that's what today's show's about, is ask me anything, and I guess I'll pay attention this time.
Like, Is it only James that's...
No, we had Misty was comedy, Misty, and then Armando commented on his show, of course.
He did? What did he say?
Well, why don't you go check it out? You need to learn. You don't know where it is, so you need to learn. You need to learn where it is.
Isn't it on the Lone Star Community Radio?
Yeah. YouTube and Facebook.
If you want to ask us anything, and that's what the name of the show is, Ask Me Anything, and that means me or Richard, because we have a 112-year span of experience at life, and so somebody's got to be able to answer it. And I have the most, I'm so opinionated, and I think that's because of my age. No, I think I always was. I always talked like I knew exactly what I was talking about. But now I do. Now I have had all those experiences so I can share them with everybody. And I know it drives everybody crazy that I have guests on and I'm talking to them, and something they say will trigger a story of mine of things that happened to me, and I tell it, and they go like, no one cares about your story. They want to hear what the guests have to say. I think that usually comes from Richard's mouth. But I remember when we first started a long time ago, I mean, this was years ago, Richard and I were working together, and I got on a rant about something, and he said, listen, you got to understand, nobody wants to hear a woman talk 15 minutes without any kind of interruption or any kind of interaction with someone or going to a break. If you're going to talk that long, you need to take a break and let the audience, catch up with you. Remember telling me that? You didn't think I'd say it over the air, though, did you?
Well, a lot of times you're in depth in a conversation. Like yesterday, that show flew by. Mm-hmm.
It did.
So all of a sudden it was time's up.
But don't our guests usually say that? They went, that was so short. I thought.
Yeah, I want to see you get on one of their treadmills.
Oh, no. Listen, I hope you guys have gone to ToughTread.com. It was amazing. I mean, it just shocked me because I thought we were going to be talking about the 1012 church that they have, the big black box that's on Highway 75, and how that got started and what the name came from and all that. And then we stumbled over and like, well, what do you guys do? I have jobs. What is it, your jobs? I thought it was something about tires because it said Tough Tread, so I thought, do y'all sell tires? And they went, no. And it says treadmills. Oh, you sell treadmills? Well, not exactly the treadmills you're thinking of. And they start talking about how they had the treadmill for the marching band that was on the movie, the Jackass movie, and where they step on the treadmill and they go flying off and hit this big door that's in a warehouse. And the guy, what's his name? Joe? Is Joe the guy that is the main guy on Jackass?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean Johnny Knoxville.
That's what
you're talking about. Okay,
that's
now
right.
I understand what you're talking about.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, they you should check out the website because, or check out the episode, especially from yesterday. I went to their website and they make some insane treadmills.
Insane.
Yeah. I laughed because when I started looking, I was like, I didn't even know there was a need for this.
Right. How did they come up with that niche they were talking about?
Yeah.
They found the niche. But they did because even Elon Musk has talked to them about he wanted a treadmill that could go like 600 miles.
No, it wasn't them. It wasn't Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, what he did was when he announces like a project, he kind of shops it around.
Right.
And so I think what they said was there was a certain university that contacted them to build a treadmill so they can run tests,
right,
to see how fast either their tunnel could go or something like that. So they needed a treadmill that stay in place so they don't have to have like a giant track. They
right,
could just
but it was for Elon Musk.
But it wasn't.
It was.
It's
it
like
wasn't,
it's
he
like
didn't
a project.
Them, but
it's like a project that they submit to Elon. Like, hey, will you buy our stuff because this is what we did. And
they wanted a track that would go 600 miles an hour, and they explained to them the power, all the expense it would take to get something to go 600 miles an hour. But they were testing cars on the track. Right? They were.
I don't know if it was cars because they said it was about as big as this table. So
yes, but it was a miniature.
maybe it was a miniature
car on there, and it was so cool. And then talking about the Hero Walk treadmill for Marvel, they did a treadmill where all the heroes, the action heroes, would make this walk at the end of the movie, and they needed a one wide enough so that all of them could be on there together and have them walk, and they did it. And so the movie company was really excited because they said, well, we're coming to you every time we have something like this that we've got to use, and you guys are very creative. So it seems like a lot of people come to them, especially movie companies, as that we have got this problem. Can you fix it? Can you find something to move this? Because they use green screen, so all they need is something to move it across the green screen. But I was just so fascinated by all the people.
Yeah, it was cool.
That they met.
I was looking up is, you go to like a gym, and I was like, how fast do those treadmills go then? Because that's what I see with their Treads niches is like if you need something to go faster. So they were talking about the Olympic teams,
right?
They're like, hey, these guys sprint at 25. No, I don't think it's 25 miles an hour. Maybe, I don't know. But they also talk about the ski people.
Yeah, that's right. And all the professional
because you ever
athletes.
seen those? You ever seen those things?
What
there's some. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the business in Houston. It's like it might have been Sun and Ski Sports. That might have been it. And if you went to a certain location in Houston, they had one of those.
Yes, I remember that.
And so you could practice downhill skiing on this giant treadmill and
I remember that, and it was so surreal. I wasn't going to get on it. I was not going to do that because I had no idea. I've never skied before like that. And so,
it's kind of like those swimmers. You ever seen those swim pools?
That they have a harness on them, and they can stay in that one place, and they can get their endurance out and all that stuff. But these are Olympic, athletes that are using
and
their
right
equipment.
Here in Conroe.
Right, in Conroe. Can you imagine them saying, okay, we're going to have this, and we want you to come out to Conroe and test it out. Where's Conroe? What's a Conroe, in Texas? But it's so exciting that they're doing that. And they said that their team is so amazing. And Rick Smith is their lead guy.
It's really funny. This has nothing to do with Truff Ted, but when I'm talking to a lot of businesses going out networking and things like that, the language people use now for their employees, it's like employee is a taboo word now. There's no more longer an employer and an employee. It's like team members.
Yes, that's right. Well, because they don't want them to feel like a second-class citizen.
Is that where? I guess it shifted over to that.
What do you call me?
Well, it's more of I call you a volunteer. That's what I call you. You're a volunteer.
It's supposed to be the host of the show.
Well, you're a volunteer host. You're a host of a show. You're still the host. If you go to your website, it said hosted by Cindy Cochran.
Yeah.
So that word doesn't change, but I consider if the government came who are these people? I go, well, they're all volunteers.
Right. I guess a volunteer host doesn't show professionalism or any kind of experience or anything like that, because a lot of people say,
it's funny about the employee-employer. It's when it comes down to it, they file their taxes as employees.
Right.
It says the word employee. It doesn't say team member. The government doesn't want to know team member. They're like, how many employees do you have? And it's well, we don't really use that word. It's well, you kind of have to because we're the government and this is how we classify stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It's always funny you meet these businesses and they're like, oh, we got it. Kind of do you remember it was a nonprofit and it's Crisis Assistance Center or something like that? They no longer call them, they call them clients now.
Oh,
how many clients we serve a year? I'm
right.
Clients? What do they fill out paperwork? Oh no! I'm what are we talking about here? They're not buying anything.
Well, they're upping their status. It sounds cooler and like you're really somebody.
Well, is it really that bad to be called a homeless?
Is it bad to be called homeless?
I guess that's who they helped, and it was
they help
the people who need a hand up, not a hand.
And
out.
they call them the clients.
So they called those people we gave clothes to 22 clients.
Right.
Or we fed 22.
That actually would not fit at all because
That's what I'm saying.
they're not paying anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's really strange.
That is.
Because like if you talk to Son over at the Cafe Pim, whatever, the coffee shop here in downtown Conroe, really good. Check it out. He calls all his employees team members. Mm-hmm. And he also treats them like he takes them out to lunch all the time. Like I don't take care of my volunteer. I do so much for them already.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would never take y'all out to dinner.
You would never
ever.
take me out to lunch.
No.
Now you were the one who
Now I'll
said,
take you to Son of Ski Sports and we can go skiing if you want to go do that. That sounds fun.
Oh, I'll break my neck. That'd be great. You go skiing and it's on a machine and I'll break my leg on that. But you remember you said you were telling our wonderful sponsor, Chris Wootton Financial Group, yes, who sponsors us and keeps us on the road and gas to be here.
You can find more information below or at woottonfinancial.com.
That's right. You get the phone
all
number.
All your financial planning, tax planning. He does a lot.
And call them.
We should ask him how many employees he has or what he calls them. He probably calls them advisors or something.
His family. He calls them his family. Now, that would be a nice thing to say. This is my family.
Do hospitals call people patients still? I feel like they're going to change that.
Yeah, they still call them patients. It's really strange because I remember if you're a patient and we use the word patient like you're patient to be a patient. You have to be patient to be a patient. And I'm waiting for the nurse to come in, and she said, "Oh boy, you've been a really good patient."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, you mean I've been patient waiting for you." That's
well, even the military service has names. So like I always enjoy it when I'm hanging out with a bunch of military people, and like, "Are you a civilian?" And I was like, "Yeah." I think I am. I hope I don't. I mean, I have an ID.
Do you feel?
You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yes.
I don't know what they call themselves, but it's like, oh, he's a civilian. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah, that was always the thing. Like they said you're not in the service. You haven't been in the service. No, I'm a civilian. And they're trying to think, how did you get out of it? You could say 4F or whatever you claim that you claimed to. Your way out of it, or you knew somebody and you got out of it. And that was a big deal during the Vietnam War. Everybody that I knew
ex-member. That's what I love is when you use the word ex in front of somebody.
Ex-members, yeah.
Like, oh, I'm an ex-service member, or it's always people always take it differently, and it's kind of funny. Like, why does the X need to be said? Why can't you just say like, "Oh, I used to be in the service"?
Right. Now let me clarify something because when I was going to school, it was high school. They were starting to draft, or they were talking about drafting, and so a lot of people would just go ahead and sign up because they didn't want to be drafted. They wanted to sign up, and it was great. Though I mean, a lot of patriotic people, but a lot of kids were scared. And so they were trying to find ways to get out of having to serve at that time. See, but, in the 50s,
Draft dodgers.
It was very patriotic. And whenever 9/11 happened, very patriotic to
they weren't drafting anybody.
No, they were joining. I mean, people were in droves trying to go join to go find these guys and
also
eliminate them.
I also like labels like stepbrother or stepmother. I always enjoy those. It's like, because when people tell you, like, "Oh, this is my stepmother," I'm like, yeah, good thing telling me that's not your real mom. I really want to know that information. You know what I'm talking about? It's like,
well, if their mom is still alive, they would not want to say, "This is my."
We can have two moms.
Mom. Yeah, people have two moms, two dads. Yeah, that's true.
It's just funny to me. Like, we have to clarify that in the first meeting. It's like, just to let you know, this isn't my real mom or like my stepson. That I feel like that would just sting a little bit.
Yeah.
If I got introduced as the stepson,
especially if he'd been your stepdad for long.
Well, it's also, but it is one of those things you do have to clarify eventually.
Well, maybe,
but not like first meeting. I always feel like that's just like, hey, why can't you just say this is my son or
right? I think that's
and then when
true.
someone inquires,
children especially,
it's like, y'all look nothing alike. Y'all have two different skin tones, and it's like, well. He's my stepson, but he's still my like. In the hierarchy of things, he listens to me when I belt him. No.
Yeah, that's the respect is still there.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up with 4 brothers and sisters that were stepbrothers, but I was never I was raised that they were my brothers and sisters, not like my stepbrother.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't even think about it until I was like 16. I was like, oh, I guess I just never really said anything, like never really cared.
You're not my real blood. That's what, is hilarious. It's like you're only,
half.
They would be
It's
your half.
yeah.
Were they your half brothers?
Yeah, half-breeds.
Half brothers. That's what I thought half brother was always a strange thing.
We're all bastards in the eyes of the Lord.
That's not true.
Well, I mean, if you're Baptist.
Like you like to say bad words.
Well, that's true. If you're a hardcore Baptist, they think if you had kids from another marriage, anything after that marriage, first marriage, is considered a bastard child.
No, that's
if you're hardcore. That's
Well,
if you're a hardcore Baptist.
Yeah. Okay.
I was called a bastard. That's how I learned about it.
They did?
Yeah, one of these guys at one of my schools, like a dad or something like that, I guess he was just hardcore, and he was like, he coached a bunch of these bastards, and I was like, why does he keep calling me bastards? Like, what did I do to that guy? And then I told my mother about it, and she's like, yeah, some people are like that. I'm like, yeah whatever.
Ignorance,
No, I think we should have stuck with it. Like, we should have been branded.
Yeah,
I think I should have
your
been.
middle name.
I should have been branded.
Richard.
Yeah, the bastard kid.
That. Yeah. Well, the redheaded stepchild is what they always
that's another one.
would call somebody, and that was me.
Well, I always like the ones too. It's like you had a marriage with kids, and then you got a divorce, and then it's like, oh, that's my ex-wife, like the wife of my children, and it's just like
that's my wife's children.
or the mother of my children. Sorry,
the mother of my children. Yeah, the birth mother. That's what.
Yeah, the birther.
She's
the birther.
Well, that's how they, to me, the left wants you to refer to
the
women
left,
as
birthers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I love it. I love people throwing that out there just to see what sticks. Mm-hmm. Because we're kind of doing it now where it's like pronouns now are important, and it's happening everywhere. Like, it just kind of, it comes out of left field sometimes. Where you're like, oh, wait, you're really asking that? Like, who cares? Like, I'm an it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, good. It's good you're an it. I'm like, oh, I'm a guy. Well, what kind of guy? Are you like a they guy, or are you like?
Are you they? Or what's interesting is in sign language, in doing, when you have to do a pronoun, they just, if you said somebody's name and you're talking about someone that the other person knows, or a group of people, to say they or the group, you just put your hand over like that, and that's it. That's all you do.
I don't know. Well, I can't imagine doing ASL and trying to catch up with this. Because what we did do on yesterday's show, yesterday's audience, when we went through the new dictionary words they added. And some of them are just ridiculous.
Oh, the ones that they've added to the dictionary?
And
like...
You should listen to it. It's really funny because we went through some of because especially with the whole like transvestite kind of stuff happening, there's so many variations. There's like specific words for specific scenarios for people, and it's like, how is anyone going to remember that? Like it is like if someone, it's almost like a foreign language that eventually you're going to like learn the slang. It's all slang almost, because it can be applied to multiple different generations of different meanings. So it's
I told you my daughter's a teacher, and they said you're going to have to, if they come up and say they want to be called a he or she or whatever, you have to, use that pronoun.
You just say no comment?
No, she said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call them all by their last name, and that's all I'm going to do. And it's
funny.
Like
like I played this new game that came out called Starfield, and it's a pretty big game. And it got a lot of flack because when it's one of those games where you create a character and you give yourself a name and that kind of stuff. And one of the questions was like, what's your pronoun? So people were freaking out that this game asked that question. And then what was ironic about it was you're a captain of a ship. And the first time I got on the ship, it said, "Welcome, Captain Dick." And I freaked. I was like, this game actually said Dick. Because most games I play today, it says that's an inappropriate word. Like, you can't use that word. Like, every other game I've ever played, it's like, oh, you can't use your name. I was like, but that's my name. And then it's like, it was really funny. I was like, okay, so do I want to just kind of give and trade the pronoun, but I can be called Dick? I'm cool with it. But yeah.
But see, Mark would give me trouble. Like, call him what his name is Dick. He wants to be called Dick. I went, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to call him that. That's,
Well, you can go. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
well, I mean, I've told you you may.
It's kind of like those people. It's like I love the kind of people, especially like if you're a doctor and they're like, no, it's Dr. Schisler. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay. Because we were talking about that again on Audience when I was like, I love the people that refuse change. So it's like, oh, they give you $5 and like, oh, it's $2.71 back to you, and they're like, oh, you can keep the change. I'm like, oh, okay. You don't like the change.
Oh, they refuse the change.
Yeah, they don't want the change
I thought
back.
you meant like the change of climate or the.
Oh no, they don't carry change.
Oh right.
And I'm just like, okay, fine. Like I just like that idea. If someone's like, no. I'm like, you realize you're probably losing at least $100 a year by not accepting change. Like
right.
And
right. Well, it's scary because it feels like it's going away. The pennies.
Yeah, I was even called out when I went to Austin. I was hanging out with a bunch of people and throughout this whole birthday weekend, and one guy made a comment about it. He's like, you're the only guy I've seen probably in several years that just uses cash. I've noticed you've used cash everywhere we've gone. And I was like, yeah, I got a budget.
That's smart.
And he was just like, well, I've just never seen it. And I was like, well,
the kids don't want to get a job. They're scared about getting a job because they're going to make change, and they don't.
I can see it. I'm really bad at counting change.
You are?
Yeah. Well, I always feel like it has to be fast because you're giving change, so you have to like, oh, we get the next person coming up, and
right.
It's like
That's right. And you.
So I don't know if it's fast or slow. I just feel in my mind, I'm like, I'm going too slow. I'm counting pennies here.
That's what. But it's all going away, and I think of the 5 years and 10 years. If I'm still here, what it would be.
No, I think
like.
I think it'd be foolish not to have cash if your business is a cash business.
But if everything's going to go,
like if you're a restaurant and you're trying to serve people, and like there's some restaurants I know in bigger cities where it's card only, and I'm like, that's just silly. Like you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars of spare cash to make change. Like you could probably have $500 on hand in your business and still like that you're losing out on customers.
Well, I was going to try and buy a membership at Planet Fitness for Samuel as a
I don't
surprise.
know if I'd be surprised if you can use change there because
you can't use cash at all.
Yeah, well, because that's different. That's not a daily transaction. That's a monthly transaction.
The thing is, $10 a month or
now it'd be one thing if you showed up and goes, here's $120 plus tax. I'll pay for the whole year. I can see them taking cash.
No. They can't. I said if I can pay 6 months, no, it doesn't matter how much you're going to pay up. We won't take cash.
Will they take a check? I was curious.
No checks. Nothing can it has to be all online. You have to give all your information online.
Yeah, because to me that's a little different from a restaurant. Because a restaurant's day to day. Like you go to that restaurant every day, but like you really only paying once a month. I'm surprised they wouldn't take a 6 month or a year check or cash.
Yeah. I said, boy, has this changed? Because, I mean, you'd be grabbing hold of my leg, not letting me out the door if I even hinted like I may want to buy a membership. And now you're saying you're going to have to go home and do it on the computer and come back. And that just, I didn't even want to do it. But Samuel's like all gung-ho, and his friends are going to Planet Fitness, and you can get a membership for $10 a month, 10 or 15, and of course they wanted the $25 a month. But it's really cheap, and there's no contract to most of them.
Yeah, most of the places are like that now.
Yeah, but ours was like contract and they know that because you're going to give up in 3 months and you won't, and you've got this contract and you're just going to have to let it run out. So we're making that money and bringing in that money. I was an assistant manager at a fitness center with Recabon.
Well, I bet they realized. I bet they realized the trouble they had to go through with these people upset. Like, I canceled this and you didn't cancel it, so you charged me $80, and it's just, you're talking about such a small amount of money in the grand scheme of things. They're probably like, yeah, it's just easy, no contract, just pay. If you don't pay, then it's easy to turn off your activation because you didn't pay.
Yeah, they don't. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. You're going to pay for the year, and if you don't do it for a year, that's on you, not them. So you still have to pay. And so they were making a lot of money. And
that's what I meant. Like they probably changed it to month, no contract, because there's just so much trouble dealing with buttholes, not realizing they.
But it was really a I don't know, a scam, a lot of the stuff that the health clubs would do. And when I went to this one health club, I said, I've got a marketing idea. Because it was surrounded by apartment complexes. And I said, I'll go to the apartment complex and tell them that if they're paid up, if their rent is paid up, they can get a month over here for free. And so that was like a win-win, because after the month, if they liked it, they'd stay with us and up there that. And plus, in the apartment complex loved it because that was the incentive to be paid up if you want a month free over this place.
All right, so we have two
comments.
We have a question.
Oh, a question.
It says, do you think the dogs who touch the buttons with the recorded messages really know what they're doing? Have you seen that?
Yes.
So do you think they know what they're doing?
Repetitively, I think
Maybe.
they hear it
Maybe.
and I think Maddie would.
I think it's also
My dog would.
but it also depends on how many buttons there are and what your reaction to each button.
It is. That
So if it's like
huge
treat
dog
button.
goes up and puts that button and then looks over at the person like, did I do the right one? Okay, and then
Yeah. So they don't know what they're. I think they know that if they hit a button, something's going to happen. And
right.
Because like imagine if they hit the wrong button, you yelled at them.
Yeah,
They're not going to hit a button. They're going to be like, I'm not touching that thing because I got
Right.
yelled at.
but they understand that. That's what's so weird to me. And Maddie
I don't
knows.
think they know what the button does. I think they know they get used to the reaction. Because I think there was even, I remember listening to a guy was talking about, say, like, if you got mad at your dog, but you did it in the softest tone, they would never learn what they did wrong.
Right. I understand
So
that. Yeah.
So it's like, but it's also on the opposite side. So if you like, we're trying to treat them like a good dog, but you're yelling at them, they're not gonna understand. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
think they did something bad.
Well, that's what when I
So,
go running.
I think it's all reactionary.
When I would go running and a dog would come flying out the backyard or something and
and you
be
kick 'em?
barking and stuff like that. No,
You
but
kick
I'd go
'em?
into a high voice and go, "Hi, baby, come on with me, come on."
Oh, it's funny you say that because a listener on Facebook says people calling their pets fur babies is annoying. So you're calling them babies?
Calling them
Fur babies. This is my fur baby.
Yeah, but isn't that a kind of a cult thing?
I don't know.
People
I mean, like,
do their fur babies and
you can call them whatever you want.
fur.
I call mine.
people?
I call my dogs Bitches.
You do not.
Yeah, they're my lovely ladies.
I know, but you don't say
Yeah.
that out loud.
Well, it's because I'm a pimp, and they're my
You know-
bitc.
You don't. Well, I guess if you're a breeder, you could be called that. Yeah. That's what you do.
Well, no, because there's another example of a word having a different meaning. Because I'm pretty sure that was an actual word for a female dog back in the day, and it wasn't like a mean word. It wasn't. I think that's why it became a mean word. Because like, oh, we can describe women this way because they're dogs.
Yeah, and the breeders had all. I mean, they just look at them like you're going to make more puppies.
Yeah, they're not
I'm
real.
gonna-
They have no souls.
I'm going to sell.
And then that
you.
stupid cartoon came out, and now everyone thinks dogs go to heaven. So it's like,
All dogs go to heaven. Oh, I remember that show. That was so cute because that's what you want to believe.
I wanted to tell you, I came up with a movie premise, and I wanted to get your opinion.
A
on
movie
this.
what?
Premise.
Okay.
So you know how those time travel movies are a lot of fun, right?
Yes.
So I don't know how I'm going to work this out. I just have the base,
Okay.
the base rules.
All right.
So the idea of this movie is somebody goes back in time.
How
okay?
they get back there?
Well, just they go back in time, right?
Well,
But the trade-off, the monkey's paw of it is however long you lived. So, for example, I'm 37 years old, and they're like, you get sucked back into time when you're 12.
Right.
But what happens is, however long you lived before going back is added to your 12. So if you die, like say if you usually die at 80, so realistically you might be in a 12-year-old body, but you are like I would be 49.
And you.
So my body
you're
would like
going-
if I got a cancer or something, I would get cancer faster because my body is like 49. Like my outward appearance might be 12, but my brain and everything.
Oh, okay.
So if you were supposed to die at like 70,
Right.
does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense, but I understand what you're saying, and
Well, that's
That's how I
because
feel.
that's the fun part
Yeah.
of the premise of the movie is like would you be willing to go back in time, but knowing you're slashing 37 years off your life?
Right.
Because you're going back, but you've already lived. So you're chancing, like, and you also you can do some magical things in it, like kind of like fate. So, for example, if I'm 37, but I die at 55, like I'm supposed to die. You know how the fortune teller is like, you're going to die at 55. So if I was 55 and I was supposed to die, so 55 minus 37, that gives me 18 years to live when I go back in time.
18 years.
So, like, I go back in time when I'm 12. That means I know I'm going to die at 30.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm supposed to die. It's about how long you, like, been on the earth.
Do you remember the 12
Yeah,
years?
you go back in time.
Okay.
But you know you're going to die at 30 because you're supposed to die at 50 or whatever.
But going back in time means that you're having to take all those experiences
yeah.
and all those things.
Yeah,
with
that's what I'm
you.
saying. You lived.
Okay.
So you can only live 50 years.
Okay. See, but that's what I always thought was so weird. People say, "Oh man,"
And
I
this
wish...
is just a movie idea I had. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. Like everyone, like this main character's freaking out, where it's like,
but it would be good because I mean they've had movies like that when somebody, but usually they're not as cognizant of, of when they were young,
or they don't know when they're going to die. But
Yeah.
the magic man goes, if we send you back, you're going to die eventually, but you're going to die when the years are added up, but you don't know when you're going to die. So you could be 100,
right?
and but you could also die tomorrow. So you get one day when you're 12. You get one more day.
I wouldn't want to go back in the past.
But you don't know.
No, I don't want to go back in the past because you've done that, been there, done that, and had the T-shirts. That are
I think
now
it would have been. I think it would have been
rotten.
fun. But would I do it under that premise? No, I wouldn't do that.
But
if like,
what would be good about it is because so many people say to themselves and say every day, "Oh man, if I would have gone back in time and know what I know today, I could own the world. I could do so many things."
Well, I mean, it'd just be different.
everything.
Realistically, it'd be different.
I knew I would know what I want to invest in because I know it's
well,
gonna be
I think the butterfly effect happens if you realistically do that.
the butterfly.
Yeah, so like if you go back in time and you step on Sound of Thunder, you ever heard of that? The short story?
No.
Where it's like it's in the future and they have time travel, but it's for entertainment. So they take you back to the dinosaur age and they go hunting as like big game hunting because they know the asteroid's going to destroy everything. So they know, or something like that. But they step on a butterfly, and apparently that butterfly was going to survive the apocalypse. But since they killed it, it like ripple affected the future. But yeah, and so I think that would happen. Like if you go back in time, you're like, oh, I put all my money on Apple. Well, it might be good for that one thing, but you changed the course because you made so much money from Apple. Amazon might never be good or whatever.
But if you knew certain wars were going to come up and you could invest in this because it's
but I think every little decision will have a ripple effect.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think. Well,
if it's already going to happen,
but that's logic,
you're just
though.
taking advantage of it.
Yeah, but
you're not changing anything.
Yeah, you could though. The little things change.
Well,
and like the lives you encounter. Yeah, because you wouldn't encounter those people if you're rich. You're not going to hang out with the same people.
No.
So that changes, and
yeah, like
that might change something, and especially like where you're driving, like the accident kind of idea. Like if you didn't have that accident, that means maybe someone else is going to have that accident, and that's going to change something. It's like those little details stack up.
The knowledge of biological knowledge that you may have and your, things that you may desire. And if you go backwards and you still have those desires and stuff.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I would just have fun. I would be like, I've already lived my life. Now I have this really weird dream idea that I can just do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
Because
now that may be.
I would have a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's interesting. You really thought about this.
No, I was just thinking of it as a movie premise because I was like, time travel movies are a dime a dozen. I was like, I wonder if they would do something different. Maybe you can make it creative where like the main character doesn't tell anybody, but he doesn't know when he's going to die. He has no idea. He's like, he could die tomorrow. He has no idea.
Can you feel like...
But we can also have that self-reflection. We don't know when we're going to die anyway.
Right. I mean... Don't you think that was smart of God not to let you know? He just said it is appointed.
But some people do know. But some people do know.
What?
That's always kind of like that phenomenon, right? where people are in hospice or they're on their quote deathbed, and there's several stories of they just wanted to see this one person before they die, and they see their wife or something or their kid,
Right.
And then they just close their eyes and boom, dead. That's a known thing where people just give up.
Phyllis, if you remember Phyllis that came on, couldn't come on the first time because there was a bomb scare in her company, and then she came on again. When her husband was in hospice, and he was all these people had gathered because they said he didn't have much time left, so all these people came to the hospital room and gathered around him, and so he lays his head back and he closes his eyes.
Just dies right in front of him. That's creepy.
Then he opens his eyes and he goes, "Are y'all still here? Am I still here? What am I doing still here? I thought."
Just pull the plug.
I
hate all of you.
He was so upset. But then he said, "Okay, but I want to tell you all something. Go to church. Go to church.
Oh my God, I wouldn't listen to
read
this guy
the Bible.
at all. I'm like, okay,
read
dude.
the Bible. Go to church." And because he was so afraid that he didn't do all the things he should have done, and he didn't want people to miss that, because when he did, he felt that he was at his best and stuff. But anyway, he left that message with them. But the funniest is him saying, "Am I still here?" No. He was ready to go.
I think we even talked about that with Andrew, was the living wakes. You ever heard of that? So it's I think traditionally what it is if you're terminally ill. And so instead of having a funeral after the fact, you have a funeral before the fact.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about it. And Andrew, you could correct me. I don't really remember everything perfectly. But I was like, I'd be really disappointed if I saw that person again. Because I was like, didn't we just have this huge party saying bye to you? But now, I'm checking you out at the grocery store. You're supposed to be dead, dude. I gave you your present, and I get, whatever.
Oh,
it's
that's right.
I just be disappointed. You're not dead yet? What the heck?
You need to stay in the house until it's over with, because I don't want to see you.
Well, that's also traumatic. I mean, I can't.
Cringy.
But it's also, no matter what, it's going to be traumatic when someone you love dies and passes on. So there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. But,
or is there?
The past.
You could go back in time.
The past of what Sam is 80, 82, 83.
And so you're telling me he'd go back in time and not get married to you?
And
is that what you're trying to tell me?
No.
Sam, don't ever say that to her.
He started getting really sick, and he started feeling really bad, and he knew this was it. And I told him yesterday, because he's come out of it, and he's gone right back to himself, and all that
he probably got some of that white powder from me.
That was it. He said, "Don't say that. Now we got to go back and explain everything like that. Don't do that." But I told him, I said, when you were sick and you were just going through all this, he was so wired all the time because he felt like he didn't have enough time to make us understand. I need you to call Chris as soon as I die, and then call Caroline. And there's so many things you need to do, and make sure that you get the insurance paid, and because you don't pay bills, so you need to start paying bills. Anyway, it all hit him, and we had a funeral every day. I said, that's what I feel like. I feel like I've gone through a funeral every day with you. It's because you are so sure this is going to be it. And I told him, I said, it doesn't matter, because I'm the one that's going to go before you. And he goes, "No, you're not. You're 7 years younger than I am." I said, "No, but I think I have a lot more wrong with me than you'll ever have. But I don't talk about it."
You never know.
He talks about it.
That's what's so wild about the way we live our life.
No,
you never
don't.
know.
And that's what I think God was brilliant about that. Not to dwell on that. Dwell on doing good until that happens, but not to dwell on what day am I going to die, and if somebody tells you when they think you're going to die.
Have you ever seen that movie About Time?
About Time?
I think it's called About Time.
That was the name of it?
Let me look it up.
I don't know. I love time travel.
So yeah, it's a romance fantasy movie called About Time. Came out in 2013.
And who's in it?
Rachel McAdams, Bill Nye, and Domhnall. That's a great name. Gleeson.
Domhnall?
Yeah, it's a neat movie.
No, I don't.
So the idea, if I remember correctly, the idea is the sons. So Bill Nye's the dad, and Bill Nye's dying, I think, and tells his son like they have all the boys in the family have an ability to go back in time, but it has to be like, I don't know if it's any moment they want to go back. But what happens though is anything that's happened in his life between those two periods are completely gone.
Oh,
so there's
wow.
there's a lot of like, there's like a lot of difficult things to happen if you went back in time, and like, I think that's the premise. I might. Oh man, it was really good though, because it's like it tells you, the movie really teaches you about like to remember people.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
because he wouldn't remember certain things. So like for example, I think the idea is like, say today is the 21st, right?
Right.
And then tomorrow I meet this guy named Mark. And then on the 23rd, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go back to the 21st. I'm going back, and then like Mark never existed. Because that never happened? That never happened, or something like that. It's interesting like that.
You need to get it. If you're going to write your movie, you better get that and study that, how they did that.
I'll figure it out.
I love that.
Mine's going to have aliens in it, though, because you always got to have aliens.
Have you written it down?
No, I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, that'd be kind of a fun movie where people have the chance to go back in time, but they die when they're supposed to die. Like everyone only has so many years on this earth. Even if you go back to 12, you're still only allowed to live like a total of 87 years.
Right.
So fate's still going to get you, or death's still going to get you.
Right. But I think it's because I'm so much closer to dying than you are. So you don't think about it or don't think about, this is going to be the last time I do this. This is going to be the last time I do that. And that's how Sam was looking at everything. Like he'd go back in the back porch and look at the land and go, this may be the last time I see this land. And it's interesting how you perceive it. Like, are you ready to go? Are you, anytime, God, I'm ready. I'm there for you. Go ahead and take me now.
Yeah.
Because the things that get so overwhelming, you don't want to commit suicide, but you're like, God wants to take you right now. Go ahead and do it. And that's what's sad, is how many young kids are committing suicide because they don't see a way out of anything. There's no problem solving, or they don't look at history.
Well, it's also the unfortunate scenario we are in today's society. Like, we're at that weird moment where you can kind of do everything yourself, but you can't depend on anyone to really do it for you.
Right.
And like, we're getting younger and younger when that approaches people's lives. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird. It's like,
that's interesting.
People can't handle independence at certain ages. Like, I know I couldn't handle it because, whatever reason, but I can't imagine being 16 and feeling that isolated.
Samuel, it drives him crazy because he doesn't know. He said, I'm not prepared for what I'm supposed to do next. There's not a next step. Like you're supposed to graduate, you're supposed to get your license, you're supposed to get a job.
Yeah.
And then,
well, like even my niece never got her driver's license. And this is something I hope she learns, because she graduated high school and she never got her driver's license. And she's over 18. So when she went to go get it, she already took all the classes and everything. She just never did it. Well, they basically told her, oh, you're not a child anymore. You have to redo it all because you're considered an adult. So, because when you're 16.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a whole, and then that set her back because she can't drive to work.
Oh.
And so this domino effect hit her. Like, life hit her really hard. Like, she's doing her nursing stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you got to get your car if you're going to get a job. Right. And then, so I think she lost out on an opportunity because no one could take her. And so she's like,
that's right.
What do you do? And I'm like, well, maybe you should have gotten your license regardless if you had a car or not.
But man, it's so true.
How many does Sam and the rest of the 16-year-olds have licenses to drive? Samuel
doesn't have a license, and neither does Cindy.
I don't know.
He's 18 now, so he's got to go.
Yeah.
He did the online thing.
But it's at
18 you can do that.
But see, why are people getting their license regardless if they have a car or not?
You could, because you need it for ID.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, why aren't kids doing it? That's
Because
really weirding me
the
out.
parents take them everywhere they go.
I get. Well, you take your kids. Well, that's what I'm saying. It really, because I remember when I was growing up, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car until I was like 19.
Yeah.
But I still went and got my driver's license, and I got to borrow the car if I wanted to go somewhere. But I didn't get like my own vehicle.
Right.
So it was just like, but regardless, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get. Because my dad had this weird rules where like I had to make X amount of money until I got a car or something like that.
Oh, to be able to pay the insurance?
Just
he wanted you to pay the insurance.
I think it was like I had to make $10,000.
Wow.
Like with my paycheck stuff.
Before you could get a car.
Yeah, before like if they gifted me one of the old cars or something like that.
Okay.
But I could like use it, but I had to be back at a certain time. I'm talking about like the freedom of a car.
Right.
So
Yeah,
and
Samuel
that was a pain in the butt.
Samuel doesn't understand. Right? I mean, he thinks he does. He thinks, boy, when I get a car, you will never see me. I'm going to be going places and going all these places. And I said, yeah, as long as you had a job.
Well, that's what, if he's asking what he needs to do next, like, yeah, get a driver's license.
Yeah, no,
That's
he
what
knows.
I mean, if he's having this
He knows
philosophical crisis
believe
over
me,
here,
you know,
what do I do next?
you know,
I
Sam's-
would just get an ID and see where it takes you.
You know, Sam's got it all written out. Like, first you're going to go get a license, then
Yeah,
you're going to do
get it.
that, and then you're going to. And so he's.
Well, one thing I would
he's got
recommend
that.
any young man is get a job, like at Kroger or like get a BS
HEB,
job.
Yes.
Because I learned so much from my BS jobs. I look back at them with smiles, but I can't imagine working at one. Mainly because it's like I'm 37, so it'd be like if I was a sacker, I'd get it. I'd probably be a manager at Kroger by now if I was working there still.
You own one. That would be to have a franchise. But were you the kind that was really happy and talked to the customers and?
Yeah, well, I depended on the job because like the only thing I really didn't like was I was still treated like a 16-year-old, and then that gave adults the freedom to think they could tell me what to do all the time. So like I remember at Kroger, I was signed on to be a sacker. So that was like, I can do that. I know how to sack groceries. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But working there, I was maybe a sacker for 2 hours and I did everything else. And I was just like, well, why am I not doing sacking? Like if I'm only sacking for 2 hours, like what's going on here?
But
So-
then were you stocking? And
Well, I was just
they
doing
made you-
like I would do random stuff, like all the expired milk. I was in charge of disposing it all properly. Like if there was a female, if there were females working in the front, I had to do the carts all day because like they didn't want females out there, I guess.
It was too hot.
So I had to do it all the time. So that was great. And then
That's so funny. I saw the first female out in the parking lot, and I went, "You're the first female I have ever seen in the parking
Yeah.
lot pushing all these cars and things." She said, "I know they didn't think I was strong enough to do it. Watch," and she was pushing this
Yeah.
real long,
and other random stuff like bathroom cleaning and then like.
Oh, you had to do that?
Well, it's just random. Like it wasn't like every day I went and cleaned the bathroom. It was more of like, hey, Richard, go clean the bathroom. I'm like, where's the stuff to clean it? What's over here? We'll show you. And then like randomly that would be something I had to do.
Oh. Did you have to clean the women's bathroom as well?
Yeah,
Both of
everything,
them?
yeah.
And which was worse, the women's or the men's?
They're both terrible because people
The
who
women's
people
were
who use grocery store bathrooms are usually in trouble. It's not like I have to like. Usually they try to hold it where they get home, right? But like I went in there one time and there was like kicks everywhere. The cereal it was just everywhere, and I'm like, what happened in here? And then
That's strange.
and it was all wet, so it was really weird.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. All right,
And
that's
then,
enough.
and
of your
then one
story.
thing I loved was
Oh, yeah.
you'd be amazed how many people break pickle jars.
Yeah, glass.
Like I think it's like 3 to 5 times a week someone would break a pickle jar.
Right.
And I'm like, how does this even happen, guys?
Well, they should all be plastic. I don't know why they make glass anything.
I imagine it has something to do with the vinegar and everything. I imagine.
That's.
Because it's so acidic, it probably like destroys the plastic.
I always ask the
you know how old
clerks-
those pickle jars are? Like how long those pickles have been sitting there?
No, well, they have to take them off if.
No, pickle. That's
They
why
don't
people
expire?
eat pickles, because they stay like that for so long because of the vinegar and salt and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so you don't need to.
That's why the old folks, the old timers, made pickles. They pickled everything because they would last longer. That's why pickled eggs became a thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. So I don't have to put that pickle jar that's by my bed in the refrigerator then. every night.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you open and close it a lot, you're getting a lot of oxygen there. So, I mean,
yeah. Well, and then that slime that happens on the top of it.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't
Then
know
you
what kind of
probably need
pickles
to
you're
go
eating.
okay, I think they're done here.
What kind of pickles are you eating? But yeah, that always surprised me.
love
Where
pickles.
the amount of pickles that would be dropped, and I was like, again, what is with these people? And then you have the powder. You put the powder, and you kind of do. But the milk, milk was the worst.
The milk,
because it was probably like, I remember one time doing it, and it was, I'm not kidding, at least 60 gallons of like expired milk.
Oh, that's the worst smell in the world.
So I had to like open, because like you can't just open and pour it out because it's just chunked. So I had a box cutter. So I'd open it and turn it upside down and just cut it. And then but it was just bloop on the ground. I'm like, I was covered in it. I had to like 60 bottles of it. Like one day I remember doing that. Like I did it for like 3 hours. I was like, this is crazy.
See, you thought you had it bad. Just listen to Richard. And
I know. I don't think it was bad.
Like
it wasn't bad.
Just listen to you, and you learned a lot. But
and they also lied to me there. I joined the union. They kind of like
unions.
Well, it was weird because I think I was 16 or 15 at the time, and they're basically, I didn't know, and they're like, yeah, here's the paperwork, here's this. Oh yeah, we have a union. And I remember my father going, why'd you join a union? And I was like, well, I didn't think I had a choice. Like the way the system ran was like, here's your paperwork, here's your W, whatever, here's this.
It was part of your employment.
And so he went up there, and he was upset because I couldn't use any of the benefits of being in a union till you're an adult.
So why?
So he's like, why are you garnishing his wages? And then we
Good
found
for your dad.
Well, my dad, and he. I remember like we tried to get me out, but they were like, oh, it's going to take 6 months to a year to withdraw from the union. And he's like, what? And yeah, so I guess it's something I signed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I signed it, and then eventually I got out of it, and like I just randomly got something in the mail saying like why'd you leave? And they're talking to me as if I'm an adult. I'm like, I can't even use any of the benefits until I'm 18. Why would I be sitting there? And it's not like Social Security or something where I'm building up credit or building up something.
No, that's horrible. Listen, we are finished. I can't believe it.
It's already done.
Went so fast. But anyway, this is my day where my Friday.
We got a big show this next Tuesday.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, we have Love and Theft.
But we're going to be here Tuesday.
Yes, we'll be here Tuesday.
Yeah.
We have Ask Me Anything on Tuesday. So if you want to ask something, not just, James and whoever. Who's the girl that was asking a question? I hope
Misty.
we answered
Misty.
it. Misty, yeah.
Misty with a T. Misty, like Misty Rain.
Yeah, Mitzi.
No, not Mitzi. Misty.
Missy. M-I-S?
Like mist. Like I'm spraying you with mist.
Okay.
With
Misty.
an E. Mist-E.
Is there a T in there?
Yes.
Misty.
All right.
That's why.
Today's show is brought to you by Wootton Financial Group. Thank you so much for supporting Lone Star Community Radio and the Cindy Cochran Show.
And our first responders, we say salute and we love you.
Yeah, but if you're not a first responder, like a doctor, you're not considered a first responder. Yes. You suck.
No, we want all the first responders. And listen,
like the janitors who clean the hospitals and do all, you suck because you're not a first responder, but you clean everything. You clean the poop. You clean all that stuff.
Yeah,
you suck.
Those people need.
And
to
the
respect
sackers out there, you're not a first responder. You suck. We only like first responders.
We love you. We love you so much. All those first responders. If you consider yourself one, then you are. Okay, so have a great weekend and go see.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran Show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any of their representatives.